I'm going to put it onto a presentation just in a second, but I'm David Bain, Head of Growth for analyticsseo.com. And I'm also host of a show called This Week in Organic, which is a weekly show at 4 o'clock as well. So let's share my presentation with you. And you should be seeing that just in a second there. So are you seeing my presentation, Anton?
Yes.
Okay, great stuff. Okay, well, we will get on with what I'm actually going to be talking about today. So, and that is it easier to be an SEO for a small business or a big business? So, let me move my slide on. Get onto the right screen, which is what we're going to explore today. So that is starting with number one, how SEOs in small businesses can compete with SEOs in big businesses. And then we're going to flip it on the head for the second half of the presentation, which is how SEOs in big businesses can compete with SEOs in small businesses, and also what we can learn off each other as well. So part one is going to be, of course, how SEOs in small businesses can compete with SEOs in big businesses. So, starting off with the advantages that small businesses have. Well, small businesses can make decisions in generally much more quickly compared with bigger businesses. They know exactly what they're going to do, or at least they make a decision quickly. Larger businesses maybe have multiple options and perhaps have to get approval from lots of different people before going through the door. So 4 options here, 4 doors. Larger businesses in general will take longer deciding on what door to actually choose. And also when it comes to websites as well, generally smaller businesses can change their website much more quickly as well. You've perhaps just got one person, maybe you've got you're the SEO, you're the web development person, and perhaps even you're the content marketer. So all 3 rolled into one. You can perhaps make the decision yourself to publish new categories or just new pages in your website. Larger businesses quite often actually have to go through an approval process again, and can take 2, 3, 4 months sometimes just to add more content to their website, which can be quite frustrating for an SEO. And of course, another advantage that small businesses has is they can multitask. So they can get involved with all different aspects of digital marketing. So they don't have to just focus on SEO. They can focus on content marketing. They can focus on technology. They can focus on marketing automation. And all these areas, of course, impact SEO as well. In smaller businesses, the SEO is the content marketer, and also the content marketer is the SEO. So they have to have the same kind of mindset. They have to be aware of what each other are doing. But the challenge with bigger businesses is, here's a great quote by Rebecca Lieb. Now, Rebecca Lieb was on my show This Week in Organic, and this is what she said. She said, I conducted research interviewing about 70 chief marketing officers, and I asked them what their priorities were with content marketing. Only 1 of them mentioned SEO, 1 in 7 people. She went on to say that senior marketers have their eyes on bright, shiny objects, very much at the expense of fundamental toolkits. She's seeing that content marketing copywriters who have absolutely no training or background in SEO are getting involved with producing content and publishing it on their website. Her final point is, it's time to marry the 2 practices back together. And I completely and wholeheartedly agree with this. For larger businesses, the challenge is that SEOs and content marketers often sit silo, not even talking to each other sometimes, and that's a big challenge within bigger organizations. It should, of course, be like this, with your SEOs, your content marketers, your content producers, and your social marketers all sitting together, knowing what each other are doing, and focusing on what they want to achieve over the long term, and all being involved with the same content plan. But it's often not like that in bigger businesses. Unfortunately, it's quite often like this. Here's a post by a famous content marketer called Marcus Sheridan. Now, Marcus Sheridan's a great content marketer, but I don't like this post. This post says, content marketing overtakes SEO as Google's quest to be human continues. This post really emphasizes the idea that it's either content marketing or SEO. And that couldn't be further from the truth in terms of how I view things and how I'm convinced that everyone else should view things. I think SEO and content marketing need to be integrated, and mindsets like this don't help the situation. Now, content marketers and SEOs are naturally quite opposite. And the great thing is that if you get someone in a small business who's comfortable with content marketing, understands exactly what needs to be done from a creative perspective, and they understand SEO as well, then that's combining the artistic and scientific mindsets. So it really is a great benefit for the business. But quite often in a larger business, because again they work separately, SEOs are quite technician, quite scientific focused, content marketers are quite artistic, and often they don't actually work together at all. And even in larger organizations, even though that's going to continue to be their individual separate tasks moving forward, it's important to get people like that working together. So what else can small businesses do to actually compete with larger businesses when it comes to SEO? Well, the first opportunity is live events. Now, you've probably seen Twitter Moments launching. So they've got a particular piece of news that is happening at the moment. And there's lots of live events opportunities in terms of creating content, broadcasting, commenting on current events going live. So Twitter Moments is just an example. Another example is Periscope. So you could be quite comfortable with video, and then you can actually drive that back to your site and cause signals to Google to demonstrate that you are an authority about that particular live event. And then you might actually start appearing in places like this. If you search climate change in Google News, you see some major news channels in there, but you also see some smaller blogs in there as well that are niche, that are focused on that particular topic and are perceived to be authoritative figures in that particular topic as well. So whatever your chosen topic is, there's an opportunity to appear in live event news and get your business a lot of traffic because you're being seen there. And the great thing about being a small business is the fact that you can be reactive in terms of the content that you produce. If there's a live event that suddenly happened within a big business, again, there can be a big approval process in terms of getting the content out there. If you're a smaller business, then if you're an SEO in a smaller business, then often if you're not the business owner, you're often reporting directly to the business owners. You can say to them, look, this is the opportunity. Can I do it? Yes or no? And you can get a straight decision about whether or not you can actually proceed with attempting to drive traffic from a live event. And of course, if you're a smaller business, you can be a bit more controversial. You can have a strong opinion about something. And if you have a strong opinion about something, then there's a greater opportunity for you to take advantage of social media. And social sharing, of course, impacts traffic and signals towards a page and demonstrates to Google that it must be relevant to a topic that's actually happening at the moment. So that must be a part of actually driving a decision within Google as to whether or not they want to rank your content for that particular subject that is being discussed at that moment in time. Now, another thing you can do as a small business is you can be a bit more seasonally focused, a bit seasonally strategic. A lot of bigger businesses will tend to actually want to rank for the big keyword phrases that bring in a lot of traffic. So if you search for summer holiday, that's probably got tens of thousands of searches per month for it on a consistent basis. But if you search for example, cheap summer holiday, the funny thing is actually, if you have a look at the stats, then the most popular month for searching for that particular keyword phrase is actually January. So there's an opportunity to rank your travel focused site for keyword terms that perhaps the bigger businesses, first of all, aren't focusing too much on because there's not enough keyword volume in their eyes for those keyword phrases, but also because on average, there's not a lot of traffic to it, but maybe seasonally, there's a big push in certain months. And you can do some preparation beforehand and start competing with the big boys more effectively by targeting less popular keyword phrases, but keyword phrases which are a little bit more seasonal as well. Partner up, it's a team game. So this applies to internal and external relationships. If you're a small business, then you need to take advantage of every single resource that you've got internally, but also probably externally as well. So internally, you've got people that you could be working with, perhaps offline marketers that are quite good with writing content, but they don't really understand digital marketing. Well, take time to understand precisely what their skill set is and try and use that to your advantage as an SEO as well. And in terms of external relationships, you've probably got relationships with partners, with affiliates, with other people that you network with offline. there are many different people out there that could assist you with driving traffic, driving links to your website. If you just think about who your potential partners are. So it's not so much about conventional link building by reaching out to people that you don't know. It's about partnering with people that you already have a relationship with and figuring out how they can actually help you, and hopefully links will happen because of that. Use every single tool at your disposal. So as an independent SEO or an SEO working within a small business, you don't have a massive budget. So you've got to use third-party tools which are free of charge. You've got to use tools like Screaming Frog, use tools like Zeno's Link Sleuth, something like keyword.io as well, and of course, Google Analytics. There are lots of tools out there, but these are 4 great ones that you can use completely free of charge, and they are good to use if you don't have that much of a budget. Of course, if you're an enterprise, then you can afford to pay for platforms like ours at analyticsseo.com and like others out there, but it's not absolutely necessary if you're a tiny business to do that, because you probably don't have the budget to do that. So it depends on your size of budget regarding what tool you end up using. Here's a little walkthrough about how we're doing SEO at the moment, and it shows you that it's not so conventional, but it is getting good results. So as I mentioned earlier on, I do host a show every Friday at 4 o'clock called This Week in Organic. So that's live on Blab, actually. Now, you can sign up to see that at thisweekinorganic.com, but this is the live video of 4 of us, actually, live on Blab there. Now, watch what I'm saying here about actually encouraging link fostering rather than actually actively link building yourself. So I've hosted this show, on Blab, but also at live events like Digital Marketing Show recently. And so how do you actually drive links from live events like this? Well, of course, what you do is you upload the completed show to YouTube, and you also transcribe it as well. You have it transcribed, so you produce lots of amazing content from that one show. A full transcription for this show, which is about an hour long, can be up to about 20 pages of Word, which is a massive amount of content. So I could actually split that up into various blog posts as well to produce lots of content. So that's our solution towards producing content on our blog. And I'm sure it's Anton's solution as well at webpromo.expert as well. So it's a wonderful way of producing content and publishing it on your site, on your blog. Now, it's not only there it stops. I also submit the show, or have submitted the show, to iTunes. So people can subscribe to this show directly on iTunes. And iTunes give you a lot of legitimacy, but there are lots of other websites that want to list shows that appear on iTunes. So because I appear on iTunes, we're also on the UK Podcasters website. We're on Podcast Chart website as well, Podcastpedia, and lots of other podcast directories. But it's not just the links that go to iTunes. Every single time I publish a show, it includes links within these directories back to the individual shows that have been published directly on our blog at analyticsseo.com. So it's not only actually driving people to iTunes, but it's also driving good SEO, updated content and links back to our content directly to our site. So what happens now? Well, of course, ideally, we want our guests to mention us, and that has happened loads of times. Mark Asquith at Excellence Expected. He's actually on this coming show this Friday, actually, if you want to catch him. Great guest. We've got more guests here as well. We've featured lots of places. I can hardly even think of every website that we've been featured on. Practice Web there. So incredible amount of people who have been on our show and really happy with the content, and then written a blog post about it and linked back to our blog. So fantastic natural referrals and links back to our site. But it's not just about direct links. I'm sure you've heard of Deep Crawl, Panam Marketing's another client of ours, Branded3 as well, big agency as well. So they happen to have been on the show. They've written a blog post about it, but they haven't actually linked directly to us. And that's fine. That's natural. People will still end up reading the blog post, and if it's of interest to them to visit our show site, then they'll come to that and they'll find out about us. And if they like it themselves, then they will actually, perhaps if they've got blogs, write about it, or if they're not blogs, if they haven't got blogs, then of course they can always sign up to watch feature shows as well. So it's got loads of benefits. Extra links can appear because of these mentions. And of course, Google is getting better at recognizing the citations of brands. And it's thought that citations of brands without a link do count a little bit within Google's algorithm as well. So it's definitely a positive that we're getting the mention even without the link. How to get links social shares as well. So I've got, we're fortunate enough to have a few people that follow the show on a regular basis. Here's some tweets that they've made just in the recent past. And it's great that they're so passionate about seeing the show, or upset if they've missed the show as well. And these tweets, these social shares will, of course, get picked up by some other people. And sometimes when they're picked up by bloggers, will result in, again, more links because of social shares. So generally not thought that Google's algorithm significantly counts social sharing, but the things that can happen because of social shares are very significant, and they include links back to your site. So what has this meant for our own link growth? Well, this is us, blue line here, compared with a competitor of ours in the red line. And you see over the past few months, there's been a significant increase in the quantity of links. Now, we haven't actively gone out and tried to increase the number of links. It's just happened because we've been producing so much great content. People have liked it. People have naturally shared it. So the quantity of links going back to our site has increased significantly over the last few months. What's happened to our keyword rankings? Well, this is one of the most competitive phrases within our industry. And if you look back maybe 6 months ago or so, our average ranking was about 20. If you look present day, our average ranking is about 8. Still room for improvement, but again, we haven't done any link building ourselves. It has happened naturally because of this content that we've produced and shared, and people that we've featured, and links that have built because of that. So that's a synopsis of what you can be doing as a small business, and how as a small business you can compete with bigger businesses if you think just a little bit more clever with regards to your SEO. But let's have a little think about how SEOs in big businesses can compete with SEOs in small businesses, because what we've discovered is that if you're in a small business, you can do things quickly. You can have the edge over big businesses sometimes when it comes to live events. So what advantages have got big businesses got over small businesses when it comes to SEO? Well, first of all, it's with optimizing existing authoritative pages that are perhaps ranking for keyword phrases that aren't quite so relevant for you as now, but you can just change them slightly to get them ranking towards the kind of phrases that you want to target at the moment. So what you want to do is use a big piece of enterprise software, SEO platform similar to ourselves. And what I've done is I've used our software to actually look at the quantity of visits and inbound links and referring domains that all the URLs on our site. And I've ordered the URLs on our site based upon inbound links here. I can also order it based upon referring domains and visits as well. But there's a correlation there between these three metrics. And what I can do with that is I can decide which URLs are actually getting quite a few visits and perhaps have a lot of links at the moment. And then I can make a decision as to whether or not to use that URL and perhaps publish some new content on that existing URL because it's authoritative, because it already has inbound links. So it's a really good opportunity there if you're a bigger business with existing pages that are published on your website there, but maybe not quite ranking for what you want to rank for. You can also build with the future in mind. Now, if you're a bigger business, then perhaps you may not be able to publish a piece of content immediately. Maybe you need to go through a big approval process. But what you can do then is you can use this timescale to your advantage. You've got time to work on your side. You need to make a big difference, and perhaps it does take a bit of planning. But perhaps that means that you can actually spend a few months deciding on your future content strategy for the next year. You can actually highlight 1,000 keyword phrases that you want to be ranking for. You can pinpoint a couple of hundred pieces of content that you want published. And then you can work with your content writer, your social media person to agree on a content schedule, and then get everything approved internally and get whatever systems in place internally that are necessary to get that content production system in place. And perhaps you need agreement from external web developers as well. Perhaps your website's not built or updated internally as well. Whatever things you have to do, you have to plan for. So plan for in big scale, then you can actually overwhelm what the smaller business does. Now, many people in big organizations also have a certain perception about SEO. The challenge with being an SEO in a bigger company is that many people just don't have a clue about SEO or have a certain preconception about what SEO is really. Here's an interesting quote. It says, "I'm beginning to believe that search engines are a dead-end technology, and fretting over where your site comes up is a big waste of time." So probably a quote you can expect quite a few people in our company to have made. However, this quote actually comes from a website called the Online Advertising Discussion List from way back in 1997. I find it quite incredible, that quote, because it really is the kind of quote that a lot of people would still make nowadays. And it's funny because that quote happened the year before this happened. Google incorporated in 1998. So that was even before Google formed. People were starting to think that SEOs or search engines were a dead-end technology, and they couldn't be further from the truth. And that's the same with nowadays. People couldn't be further from the truth when it comes to them thinking that SEO is dead. Look at this quote from 2008. "If you do SEO for a living, you'll be out of business or irrelevant in 3 years." So an incredible quote there comes from November 2008. So we're talking about 7 years ago, something like that. So it's obviously way out of date. People are doing very well with SEO nowadays. So it's certainly not come to pass, and it's not going to come to pass in the near future. We need to show everyone why SEO isn't dead. So if you work in a larger organization, your job needs to be partly to do with actually integrating SEO with other marketing activities and demonstrating the value of what you do. It's a bit of a challenge, but that's what people, SEOs in bigger businesses, need to be doing. And as long as if you don't explain SEO like this. So a lot of people in big organizations get so passionate and focused about, this is what SEO is. It involves this, and 301s are important. Also, canonical URLs are important, and don't forget about hreflang. And when you start saying things like that to content marketers, to marketers in big companies, that's what switches them off about SEO. There's no point in speaking that kind of language to people that don't have a clue about all those kind of things and more. You need to actually explain SEO in as simple a manner as possible. And I quite like this way of explaining SEO to people. That is, you have your referring domain, you have your pages on your website, and you have your keywords that rank for those pages. And those keywords, when people search for them in search engines, people will end up finding the pages on your website, and that will bring you traffic. But of course, you've got your competitors that also rank for those keywords as well. So you've got your competitor domain as well. But the key thing is you've got your competitor domain that ranks for other keyword phrases that isn't bringing in traffic to your website. And that's the SEO opportunity. The opportunity is to optimize our website for phrases that our competitors are ranking for. And if we can do that, then the value of that traffic is going to be X. So that's why SEO is so important to the business. So that's how I try and explain SEO to people there. But the key thing is, the important thing is to relate with your audience. You need to think of where they are in terms of understanding SEO, and think of where they are in terms of whether they really want to know the technical nature of SEO. If you're speaking to a group of content marketers, you need to talk about the benefits that doing SEO or incorporating SEO into what they do is going to bring them. You don't need to be talking about the technical aspects of SEO at all. It's all about the end result. That's what SEOs aren't so good at. That's what SEOs need to improve at. Focus on what benefits SEO can bring whoever you're talking to. If you're a marketing director, it's bottom line finances. If you optimize your site fully for all those keyword phrases, this is the ROI, this is the traffic value that organic search actually brings you at the moment, and this is what you could get if the site was fully optimized. So it's also not having unrealistic expectations. You talk to them about the fact that, look, you're never going to be ranking number one for all these phrases, and you have to assume click-through rates, but you need to be talking about end figures in terms of potential ROI, and also things that appeal to your audience. So incorporate different types of content marketing that you can do to achieve positive wins from an SEO perspective when you're talking to content marketers. Bake the SEO cake. That's a description that I like to use as well. So I like to describe SEO as something which is layered within the marketing function, and indeed within just about every function within a business, even customer service, sales, all through the marketing function. You need to be optimizing everything that is done in different departments within a business to really take full advantage of SEO. And this is what bigger businesses need to get better at doing. This is the advantage with being in a bigger business. If you've got offline marketers, if you've got offline promotional activities that are happening, and relationships that are evolving and gained as a business because of those offline marketing efforts, you need to take better advantage of those relationships as an SEO and incorporate things like blog articles and hopefully links because of that into those relationships as well. It's not about buying links, it's about getting content on partners' sites and driving traffic from partners' sites because of those relationships. So bake the SEO cake, incorporate SEO within every layer in an organization. And as long as everything that you do evolves with positive things for SEO in mind, then that's going to be wonderful for your SEO, your technical SEO, because they won't have to think so much about trying to do SEO to a website that hasn't been SEO'd or has been developed really badly because SEO is not in mind. A website needs to be developed with SEO in mind. Things like, obviously, one decent H1 tag, and perhaps an H2, a decent amount of content, a fast loading site as well, using microdata. All these kind of things need to be baked into the website. So when a content marketer that doesn't know anything about SEO, they go into the CMS, they produce the article, and it's published, it's actually published in a format that uses the microdata, that uses the proper headings, where there's titles and there's meta descriptions and things like that automatically produced within the CMS. So that's what I mean by baking the SEO cake. Make it impossible just about to produce content that isn't SEO friendly, because everything that you do has been developed with SEO in mind for the long term. Now, also in bigger businesses need to be better at exploring the unknown unknowns. So I like this quote. This quote's from Donald Rumsfeld from quite a while ago now. And he says, there are known knowns. There are things we know. There are known unknowns. That is to say, there are things we know we don't know. And there are also unknown unknowns. These are things we don't know. And SEOs need to get better when you're working in a bigger business of really exploring what you don't know. You can't actually just rely on optimizing the keyword phrases that are relevant directly to the products and services that you produce, or even analyzing the competitors that you know about. You need to take tools like our big market share tool and actually crawl out from your website and really pinpoint every single domain out there that is directly or even slightly relevant to what you're doing, then establish what your opportunity is in terms of the massive footprint out there, and get to know your unknown unknowns. Because what SEOs do at the moment, really, in bigger businesses, is they focus on what they know, because generally they're very busy. Generally, there's lots of things to do. They'll maybe start on a business and they'll see the website hasn't got any H1s, or it's got so many 404 pages that just are making a big warning signal within Google Search Console. So they're dealing with those kind of things, and they're not really thinking long term. They're making a difference, but perhaps they're not making the biggest possible difference that they could make. They need to be drilling out and actually seeing, where the massive opportunity is on long term, where the keywords, where the categories are that they haven't even considered before. going right out and actually getting a complete view on the marketplace, where they operate. And if they do that, then of course the opportunity is going to be there to rank for thousands of more keyword phrases. And at the same time, hopefully, if they can do that, if it can demonstrate the ROI, the potential ROI of starting to rank for all these other keyword phrases out there, then maybe they can justify to their boss to bring someone else into their team to focus more on short-term issues and actually curing the website of its issues. So then once the SEO has got all the big data, then of course they need to drill down and actually see what they need to be focusing on first. But they shouldn't have preconceptions. It's important to actually base where you should be focusing on the best possible opportunity. So the ROI from your keywords that you're not ranking for, your categories you're not ranking for at all, that's what you should be really focusing on. And use big tools, big data tools to actually really determine that if you're working in a bigger business. Now, communication, an essential task for SEOs and big businesses. SEOs need to start explaining the value of big data to in-house marketing directors. They need to stop just relying on getting data from Google AdWords, doing their own keyword research, pouring everything into an Excel spreadsheet, and making their own decisions on which keyword phrases to target based upon search volume. That's an old way of doing SEO. SEOs need to get more intelligent when it comes to working within bigger businesses. Decisions need to be based upon relevancy to the business and potential ROI here as well. This is the kind of data that we pull for clients. So I'm looking at greatbritishchefs.com. Now, in this particular example, we've pulled off all the domains that are ranking in their marketplace. So obviously, there are lots of big name domains out there like the BBC, like the BBC Good Food, Wikipedia, all recipes as well, which are directly relevant to them there as well. But you've got to do that big data research to begin with to make sure that you're not missing out there. But then you take that market, and then you talk about the opportunity to marketing directors within the business and say things like, well, by visibility in the total marketplace, we're only actually ranking for 2.8% of our opportunities. Our market value of our organic keyword phrases is £115,000, but the total market value potential is actually £6.1 million worth of organic traffic. So that's what we could be getting in if we completely optimized everything that we're doing in terms of ranking for all the keyword opportunities. These are the kind of figures that marketing directors really can't. So in order to actually make it really obvious and really sell it through as to why it's important to marketing directors in a business, I recommend focusing on 4 key areas. Number 1, identifying the core niche competitors and benchmarking your business against them. Number 2, analyzing the performance of existing keywords and pages, suggesting new keywords for existing pages, and also number 4, suggesting new keywords for new pages. So let's have a look at this very quickly for the website I mentioned previously, greatbritishchefs.com. So if we have a look at the top left-hand side of this quadrant, that's the core niche competitors. What we need to do, first of all, is define exactly who the fairly strong niche competitors are out there. So websites like Food Network, like Taste you see on there, a few other websites out there that are very, very relevant to this particular business. So that's the most important thing to begin with. Because as a business that focuses on a certain category of products, a certain niche focus, you need to actually recognize that you're not always going to be number one for everything. You're not always going to, in the UK, be able to surpass the BBC. Worldwide, it's going to be very difficult to surpass Wikipedia and perhaps even YouTube and maybe even Facebook for certain phrases. But I wouldn't worry about this too much, because if people are looking to buy a particular product or service, they're not going to go to the BBC. They're not going to actually even consider visiting Wikipedia. They're almost going to be blind to that. So if you have the Wikipedia and BBC at number 1 and number 2, and you're ranking number 3, that's where you want to be. I wouldn't get all hot and bothered about trying to be number 1 there in that particular scenario. So you have to identify who all your core niche competitors are, and then start benchmarking yourself against them. Number 2, existing keywords and existing content. So that's quick ROI opportunities. You've got existing content that exists for the phrases that you want to be ranking for. And for whatever reasons, you're not maybe ranking quite as high as you could be. Maybe you're ranking on page 2, and it just takes a little bit of on-page optimization or a little bit of optimization of the links internally within your website to actually change your page 2 ranking to a top half of page 1 ranking. So that's the first highest ROI opportunity. The other one, the other quadrant to be aware of in this particular screenshot is maintain ROI. So you've got to identify the keyword phrases and categories that you're currently doing quite well with. Maybe you're ranking number 1 to 5 for. However, you've also got to be aware of the fact that you do get traffic for those keyword phrases. And what you need to be doing is ensure that you're maintaining the efforts to maintain that traffic out there. So keep an eye on them and make sure that you're continually publishing a little bit of fresh content outside your website and driving people back to those pages that you're ranking for, and perhaps updating the content a little bit just to maintain the rankings for those particular keyword phrases. Number 3, new keywords and existing content. So it's another massive opportunity. You've got content that exists there already, but for whatever reason, you're not ranking for certain keyword phrases in relation to the subject matter that you've got content published for. So for this particular example, what you need to be doing is re-optimizing the pages slightly and incorporating additional phraseology within the title, within the content, and within other areas of your web pages to try and actually get those existing pages ranking for new related keyword phrases. And number 4, new keywords and new content. So this is a little bit more long-term, takes a little bit more effort because you've got to produce new content. And then for that new content, you're probably going to publish a new web page. And because you're going to do that, it's not necessarily going to have lots of authority straight away. So it might take a little bit of effort to get those new keyword phrases ranking on those new content pages. But you've got to be doing that as well. And there's certain short-term ROI opportunities that you can identify based upon the ease of ranking of certain keyword phrases and the volume of traffic available and the projected ROI based upon what kind of products and services you actually do at the moment. So those are 4 different areas that I recommend focusing on as a big business to actually really get your long-term plan rolled out and committed to. And if you do that, then you can compete very, very effectively with small businesses and over the long term certainly surpass what they're doing with SEO. Why is big data so important for SEO and big businesses? And once we define the true total marketplace, we can be much more confident at defining the true potential of SEO in a large organization. Because what big businesses are interested in, as I mentioned before, if you're reporting to a marketing director or someone like that, is they want to see figures. They want to be told, right, if I do this amount of work, if I do this, then it's likely to have this effect on the bottom line, producing this amount of money. And if you can actually, to begin with, define the massive total size of the potential marketplace, then you're in a much better position to be able to actually bring a bigger figure to the table of the marketing director and have them understand and believe in SEO. So big data and actually making sense of that big data is very, very important as an SEO in a big business. And of course, bigger businesses have bigger budgets as well. So if you can say to a marketing director, look, I can make potentially the business an extra £10 million a month by focusing on SEO here, then the marketing director might turn around to you and say, okay, what can you do with a £500,000 a month SEO budget? And that happens in some big organizations. So, wouldn't you love as an SEO to have a massive budget and be really creative with the content that you produce and the way that your website's developed as well? So there's an opportunity out there if you can project a lot of potential ROI for the business. And bigger businesses mean that you're less reactive and you can plan for the future. So that's a great thing. You don't have to suddenly jump to one thing. A small business might not be that profitable, and maybe you'll have to reactively do something to try and bring a lot of traffic in over the short term. And of course, we all know that SEO isn't really a short-term game. SEO is a long-term game that will bring more and more traffic over the long term if you do it right, if you produce great content, if you have a great quality website that loads fast and is a wonderful experience for your users, then of course you're going to win over the long term. So if you've got that big budget, and you can get someone committed, you can get the business owner or the marketing director committed to actually investing and understanding that it's going to take you 6, 9, 12 months to get serious volumes of traffic in, then you can start to plan for the future and really be massively successful as an SEO within a big business. So in summary, there's pros and cons about working as an SEO within a small business or a big business. So to summarize, as an SEO in a small business, you're not restricted by having to report to a large organization. And you can also maybe get involved yourself with content marketing too. So you can do multiple things. You're not maybe going to be stuck with just doing technical SEO. As a negative, you'll generally have a smaller budget and probably lower overall domain authority compared with a bigger business. So you're maybe not going to be able to rely on that domain to push your content forward to actually a high ranking quite quickly. As an SEO in a bigger business, you'll be able to work with higher authoritative domains and also spread the SEO word as well. So you have an opportunity to be involved with training as well. And you need to understand there are going to be a lot of people within the business that don't understand SEO. So you need to be prepared to explain SEO to other people and explain it in a way that appeals to them with benefits that appeal to them as well. So only certain SEOs can be comfortable doing that as well. As a negative, it's tough not being able to actually make all the changes you want and move as fast as you want. And you're also less likely to be actively involved in other marketing activities. So if you're happy enough just focusing on technical SEO, and you understand that perhaps the changes that you want to be made to a website might take months to make, and you can be comfortable doing that and not get all concerned or feeling negative about the fact that your website development team aren't moving as fast as you want to, then maybe a bigger business is better for you. So again, in summary, is it easier to be an SEO for a small business or a big business? Well, it depends on you. But the key is, try and learn off each other. Small business SEOs can do a lot of great things and think on their feet and take advantage of events quite quickly. And hopefully SEOs in larger organizations are in a place that they can actually learn from some of those things. And of course, SEOs in larger organizations tend to be better at long-term planning. And perhaps SEOs in smaller businesses need to get a little bit better than that, and perhaps use some of the tools if they've got a bit of budget to be able to do that as well. So there we go. That completes my presentation for today. Is it easier to be an SEO for a small business or a big business? Well, the answer is it depends on you. Thank you.
Great, very interesting. And I have to admit, it's a very, very new feeling with this whole new technology. There are some obvious advantages. Sounds is great. Picture, well, not mine. I have a very bad. Well, I have to change my webcam. But otherwise, your picture is great, and you can use all this animation and everything, which we could not really in a previous platform. But something is missing, I have to tell. You obviously you haven't used it, but our old platform, we can see every single attendees with little avatar which shows a flag of the country, which system automatically check it with IP addresses, so I can see what's audience, what's about, and people could chat straightforward in a screen, basically, so that I could see questions and everything. Oh, by the way, I do have a question from audience, and this is what about your presentation? I mean, slides. Will they be available?
Yes, I can make them available. That's fine. I will upload them to SlideShare, and I'll save the embed so people can go through them afterwards.
Yeah, okay. We technical side we will decide. So, guys, the slides will be available as usual. Obviously, records will be available straight after that, because we are on Hangout. Okay. I'll check if we have another question, but I have my own question actually. Okay. Do we have question? Well, I'm trying to play with the system. Can't see any, but I do have a question. Okay, are you obviously saying SEO is not dead, will never be dead, and people were saying it since I don't know, since 1997 SEO is dead already before SEO started. But technical SEO, why has happened? Because Google or any other search engine, but basically we're talking about Google. Google is not human, yeah. So
Mhm.
it's very sophisticated algorithm, but still it's not human. So Google can do a lot. Algorithm can do a lot, can scroll and scan a lot of pages, billions of them, but still cannot see a page as we do. So and SEO, technical SEO, trying to actually to fill this gap, trying to actually bring our own experience. So Google would see the page more or less as we see, or trick it anyway. But Google now is using what they're using new version of human brain, what they call RankBrain. So obviously it will be artificial intelligence in a couple of years. Who knows how good it will be? Do you think this will actually will eat this gap between Google machine and between people?
I don't know. RankBrain is the third most important signal in Google's algorithm at the moment, so it's quite significant, and that's artificial intelligence, obviously. But Google still, on a regular basis, actually goes to an external panel, so real people, to actually view the quality of the results. And they recently published a report just a few weeks ago to actually disclose exactly what they ask these people. So they have a regular panel of people that tells Google as well what they perceive as, whether or not the results are relevant or quality results they're producing. And Google are obviously trying to artificially mimic what other people think of their search results, but they will never, I don't think, be confident enough and cocky enough to think that they don't have to involve outside panels as a review process to see what the quality of the results are. And I think that if it does happen, then to a certain degree, that might be the downfall of Google. I think Google have to retain that human involvement just to be absolutely sure that the human voice is there, because robots aren't what read the internet. Real humans actually read things, so it's got to appeal to real people, and real people have senses of humor, and so that they're not just looking for something which is boring and scientific all the time. They're looking for something which is funny, and computers can't always mimic that.
So you don't believe computers will be able to make jokes one
Um,
day?
I believe that.
I mean,
I think they will
funny
try.
one,
I think they'll
funny
try,
one.
yeah. But I think the joke will be on them for the foreseeable future.
Okay, so you obviously you don't believe SEO will be dead, but not in our life anyway.
Well,
So
the thing is, SEO means search engine optimization. What's a search engine? Well, Google's a search engine. Apple, iTunes store is a search engine. Amazon is a search engine. So unless the facility disappears for people to actually search for what they're looking for online, then there will always be a need to actually try and optimize a business's products or services within what people are searching for. Now, there are things that are going to produce more personalized results or assume what people are looking for as well. But unless that search functionality disappears, then SEO will always be here in some form.
No, but I was talking about technical SEO, all the link buildings and everything. Obviously, the site has to be fast and everything, but this is the easy part. I was talking about if artificial intelligence comes to that, at Google, actually a robot can see page exactly as human. Well, I'm exaggerated, yeah, but much faster, much faster. Can see. So whilst you type in your question, Google robot can, Google already saw the sites. And after that, you type in a question and they actually know what you're looking for. by this question, and they know which other page. So what your technical SEO in this case makes very little difference, because robot can see page exactly as I can. For example, I'm looking at the page and I don't really see that code is really very heavy, and a lot of internal links which you have to really avoid, and everything, which is technical SEO, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, but what a technical SEO does may change, but the end result of what they're looking to achieve will still the same. They're looking to drive traffic towards their product or services page and actually get people to buy from that particular business. But in terms of what they do, that has changed over the last few years, and it will continue to change. It's becoming harder to rank a website using artificial signals, artificial link building signals. It's still possible to do it, and in certain industries are aggressive, and it's difficult perhaps not to be very competitive and not be a little bit shady with SEO. But for the most part, in most industries, it's possible to rank a website now fairly well by the overall authority of the domain, the quality of the content, the quality of the website experience, and the experience of the visitors, and then getting other people sharing it with their friends and links naturally evolving. And Google are looking to actually try and do their best at determining whether or not that sharing those signals are obvious. Sorry, I was just getting a few comments coming in my ear there, but essentially, Google will always look to improve at how they deal with unnatural signals, and they'll get better with that over time. But it won't mean that SEO doesn't exist in a few years' time.
Yeah, in a few years' time. No, okay, we got your opinion. SEO will never die. Yeah. Okay, do we have any more questions? No, I don't think we do have question, but I would think it's because of the technical, so our audience not get used to this. So okay, anyway, guys, if you do have a questions, if you don't like it, or if you like it, this new technology in our webinars, just write to me if you have questions to David. You can write straight to him. He's well, I don't know if you can put again your contact details, but never mind, write to us. We will give you contact details to David, and you can find him on Twitter, for example. He is very responsive.
Yeah, that's me on my details on the screen. Well, that's the my email. There's also the Twitter handle at Analytics SEO, at David Bain on Twitter, thisweekinorganic.com, analyticsseo.com. There we go. There's about 5 different ways to get in touch with me.
Yeah, okay, great. David is easy to get in touch, and is okay. David, I guess because I'll check it again, because I can't see questions, so it would be probably it for today, for tonight, depends where you are now. Thank you very much, David. It was very, very interesting. We could actually keep this conversation. I have plenty of questions about this Google, this algorithm and everything, but I guess we don't have time. Thank you very much. It was quite long, almost 1 hour. And for everybody who was with us, well, I can't really see. This is technology. I can't see your names, countries, and everything, which I could in a previous blog. So some kind of intimacy has lost. But well, okay, you gain something, you lose something. Thank you very much, David. Thank you. I hope we'll see you here again.
Thanks, Anton. Good to join you.
Thank you, guys, and thank you, and goodbye. And because system has a lag in time, if you see that, we already off.